of my longer term couture projects, which I have finished, thankfully, because I need to wear it next Friday. And I'm wearing. You'll see the full thing in a second. This is a dress that I designed mostly based on the fabric that I had. So the fabric definitely led the process on this one. Doesn't always, but this one it definitely did. And I'm going to be wearing this to two occasions, which is why I've been beavering away to get it finished, as ever, last minute. One is the dressmakers ball, which is next Friday, so any of you who are going to that, I shall see you there. It's exciting, and I hope your sewing is going well. And the second is my friend's wedding, which is the weekend after. So I had a lot of reasons to have a dress that I could wear for multiple occasions. And I decided to make something a lot more classic and reusable than my recreations projects tend to be. So this is just designed based on, it sort of evolved as I was doing it, as you will see in the process. I have, as ever, attempted to share with you the kind of process all the way through from start to finish, and I've captured little bits of technique as I've gone along, so I hope it's helpful and interesting for you. As you will see at the start of this dress actually has two stages, and I have finished the first stage. The second stage is what is behind me on my dressmaker's dummy, in toile form, though actually it fits really well, so I think it's pretty much ready for me to start cutting out the proper fabric, which terrifies me because the fabric's beautiful and expensive, and I don't have a good track record with those. Yeah, but I really hope that this is interesting and you enjoy it and that your sewing is going well. And if you'll be at the dressmakers ball, I will see you next week. If you won't because you're in another part of the country or didn't get a ticket or for any reason at all, then do feel free to leave a comment and I will be back very soon with another video, hopefully of the second part, assuming I can get it finished in time. So these are the two fabrics that have meant that I haven't decided what to do with them for ages because they're both so lovely. This one I bought in Thailand. It's an Indian embroidered silk chiffon, and you can see that it's just, oh, it's so pretty. And it's been sitting in my stash for 2 years because I've been too terrified to do anything with it. But now is the time. If you want to see more of the fabrics that I brought back from Thailand with me, of which this was one of them, but there were lots, there's a video up here that links to that fabric haul, and there's loads of embroidered silks and all sorts of things in there. So if you want some sort of fabric sumptuous goodness, then take a look at that. And this I bought from the Craft Palace, aka the Crafty Sewer in Tooting, and I wanted it to go with this. So I wasn't really sure whether I was going to make something chiffony, i.e. light and floaty, or whether I was going to mount this fabric onto something with more structure so that I could make a dress or something that had this pattern but was a stiffer, more tailored kind of a fabric. So I bought this because the colour is obviously so beautiful with it. This is a silk GPONI, it's 100% silk, and I bought it from, yeah, the Crafty Sewer in Tooting. They have a great range of silks up on the top floor if you've never ventured up there, which is their sort of bridal section. It's coming out probably more yellow on this than it is. It's actually a really sort of warm, almost gold colour. And I will now just show you some of the things that I thought about doing with these two, and then talk you through the final thing that I'm going to attempt. So these are some of the many sketches that I've done, and this is actually a combination of a few different dresses, but this is the one that I actually really love this design, but I'm going to do it with a different fabric. I just really like the neckline and the slanty sleeves, and I like this sort of under empire line band and stuff, so that's going to be something else. But then for this I thought, right, maybe I should do a kind of very traditional strapless but empire line, you know, kind of close fitting bodice sort of dress, but then have a silk, the chiffon as a sort of overlay. So this would be in this fabric, and then this overlay would be in this fabric, so that you can have kind of that look of having lace over the top. What I actually have decided to do is slightly different. So what I have chosen to do instead is a little bit of an experiment, but I'm hoping to get 3 dresses out of 2 fabrics. So I have already drafted, and will take you through the process of this dress, which is a very simple sheath style. It's got fisheye darts, and then it's got this long dart up to the shoulder. It's boat necked, penciled skirt, very, very simple, very well fitting, that can be worn on its own as a sheath dress. Then out of the silk, what I want to do is make exactly the same silhouette, but with sleeves, and have it completely not lined so that it's see-through. And essentially what I want to be able to do is wear this one on top of this one, if I want to, so that I end up with, I can wear the gold underneath and have the chiffon over the top so that there's a solid block in the middle and the sleeves are chiffoned. And equally, if I want to, I can, one second, see if my machine will sort itself out. I can also wear this one on its own, but with a slip that I will make underneath it, so that it's obviously decent, thereby having 3 dresses. I mean, it's foolproof. I don't see what can possibly go wrong with this plan. But that's the intention. So I've got quite a lot to do. I'm making, this is really where all of the work is going to happen, because this is all couture technique kind of dress. It's going to be underlined, hand finished. I'm going to spend a lot of time making sure that this one is perfect. This, because it will be French seamed, and therefore there's not a huge amount to do in terms of kind of couture finish, because it's one layer of fabric and it wants to be one layer of fabric. I'm putting French darts in this one, so that I've got the least possible interference with the dress as a whole and the pattern. So there won't be any fisheye darts or anything. I'm going to take those out and put French darts in. So there we go, that's the plan. I've got about 2 weeks to get this done, because obviously I've left it to the last minute as ever, if I want to wear it to one event that I've got coming up, which is a black tie do. But then I want to wear this to the dressmakers ball, which is on the 22nd of March or something. So I've got a couple more weeks after that if I don't get it done for the black tie event in a couple of weeks. So I've got some backup plans. Right, let's get going. So this is toile 1, pretty much straight from draft. I've not done much to it yet. So this actually is I really like it. There's definitely some fitting things that need sorting out, so I'll tell you what I know I want to do already. You can see I've pinned out a whole wodge of fabric here, because this was getting too long and like bulging in weird places, not quite sure why. So I've pinned that out, and I'll take that out of the skirt front. The darts are currently finishing too high at the bottom. It just looks like I'm pointing at my boobs. So, I mean, the dark brown marker isn't helping with that, but I'm going to back this waist dart off about 1 inch so these just don't finish quite so high. But the fit's really great and I really like it. The neckline is a little bit too high on me, so I'm going to take, I've just cut to the finished neckline on this. There's no seam allowance. So I'm going to take this down by about literally 1/4 of an inch, just so it'll tuck underneath my collarbones, which is, I just prefer it at that spot on me. There is a problem with my, this back armhole is too tight. I can feel that I've not got enough movement. It's too stiff on me. I definitely need some extra length here. So I'll adjust that and put some extra length in the back. And as you can see, it's hard for me to tell the fit in the back on this version, but I need more room. So if I try and pin this in, it's really a bit tricky. I need more room in the back. So I'm gonna the front is fine. So the side seams are straight, which suggests that the front I've got enough room. I just need more room in the back. So I'm gonna just extend these out by maybe 1/4 of an inch to mean that I've got more wiggle room to kind of pin stuff. And it's slightly too tight across my stomach at the moment. So I do have a small tummy, as many women do. I don't have any issues with it at all, but it's just a bit tight, and if I eat anything, I will be uncomfortable. So I want to be able to have fun in this dress, and that involves eating food. So I need to just adjust this so it's not quite as snug. But otherwise, actually, for straight off the pattern first time, I'm really pleased with it. And I really like this. I really like this design line, this style line that I added in. It's sort of unusual, but I really like it. And I like that the shoulders this arm is wide. I've always liked that look on me, and it means you don't get side boob, which I don't particularly find very attractive. I'm now going to make the adjustments over the next couple of days, and I will show you toile 2, however that turns out. I have a tendency to get quite close on toile 1, and then toile 2 seems to go further away rather than closer to what I want. So we'll see whether that happens. But yeah, I'll be back once I've got that done, and I will show you how it's looking. I'm just going to show you toile 2 that I've just finished, and I think means I can move on to actual fabric because I think it's finished. But I wanted to talk to you about some of the adjustments I ended up making. This is the final version, well, final toile. So from the previous one, I added 1/4 of an inch on either seam just to the back. I added an extra 1/2 inch of length to the back armhole. I've lowered the front neckline by 1/4 of an inch and it's now in a perfect spot. So when I made this up, it didn't fit as snugly as the first one and it felt like there was a bit too much bagginess. So I have now made a couple of extra adjustments. I've taken a good 1/2 inch off the hip. However, I do have a butt. I often find that the width is often here, but I need more here. So I took it in at the sides, but the extra that I'd added at the back meant that it actually fits me really nice now around the back and it'll hang straight. One thing that you can get if you haven't got enough room in your bottom area of your skirt is that you get a rudder. So underneath, this starts kicking out and you get a kind of, the bottom bit of your skirt sort of sticks out backwards. That happens to me a lot. And that just means you need to give yourself more room for your bum. But as you can see, this is hanging really nice and straight. But I also realised that the fit through the middle I wasn't as happy with. And I lowered the bust dart points between the two toiles. But what that meant was I lost a little bit of fitting under the bust. So I just adjusted that and nibbled the dart in a little bit more under here. So I've got slightly more fitting through the upper bust area. I also lengthened these darts down to the, well, more like, I probably added, they stopped about here before, so they stopped at the high hip. I've lengthened them to more like the low hip. You don't generally do that, but I needed to account for my tummy. I do have a stomach, as you can see, and what happens is that then I get a lot of bagging just underneath. This is where my stomach basically finishes, and I did then get a lot of bagging here. So I wanted to just extend the darts down to get rid of some of that extra fabric that can kind of pool in this area, which is never flattering. And then the back, as I said, I have a sway back. I've got a very hollow back here, and then it kind of kicks out. Fitting this, I've always found really difficult. So I was going to just nibble in the back seam and basically take out the extra gather there. And then I thought, no, I shouldn't do that because that will mean it all pulls in funny places. So instead, I've taken 3/4 of an inch off the centre of each of these darts. So, collectively that's what, 1.5 inches. Into the centre of the back darts to pull that extra in and mean that it fits me much more snugly through this curve. And I'm really happy about that. It's looking really nice. I also added a slit to the bottom, which you might just be able to see. Just a 5-inch slit, not a vent, it's literally just a slit in the back. So that I've got some movement, because otherwise walking was probably going to be challenging. In addition, I also finished the seams, as in I put the seam allowance on, I stay stitched, I snipped down to it and I tucked it under, which is why you're occasionally getting little tabs sticking out, because I've just tucked them under, I've not top stitched them or anything. So there we go. I really like it. I think it's a really lovely fit. It's got that slight vintagey 50s kind of feel to it without having traditional 50s, but the very glamorous women who used to walk around in corsets. I'm not going to wear a corset, I'm going to have to eat in this thing, but I like that the wider shoulder line up here, the width here means that my waist looks narrower, so it kind of creates that silhouette without you having to bone yourself into something. So yes, hard work has paid off, and my message to myself of slow down and take your time is true. So the next thing to do is to just put those minor adjustments back into the pattern, and then it's time to cut out the actual fabric, which is exciting. Okay, I'm gonna go do that.
I'm just prepping my pieces for this, and I've tacked my silk organza, and I'm just marking the darts, and I thought I'd show you as I do this. So I've tailor tacked all the way along the shape of the dart, which is slightly bowed out. You can see it here, so I've bowed out the dart quite a lot in order to get better, closer fit through the middle of this dress. And now what I'm doing is hand basting along those lines so that I can see really clearly where the dart is and can make sure that the darts actually capture both layers of the fabric. So because this is 2 layers, it's silk organza and then the silk underneath, it's very easy for one to get lost when you pull the dart together. So this just helps keep them in one place and make sure that they are that the darts are actually going to stitch together properly. So I'm just about to create my balanced darts for the fisheye darts on the very front of the dress. Because this is very simple, it's fairly unforgiving in terms of any little defect will show up. Always fun. So this is a mechanism by which you can try to prevent the ridge that happens when you have a dart in a fabric. So the top darts here don't need this. They've just been cut into seam allowance because they're enormous darts anyway. But these ones on the front, you can see that the dart is pinned and you can see the shape of it's been tacked in. You can just see the run of stitching going along the middle crease there. And then what I've done is pinned in about a sort of 3-inch strip of silk organza, the edges of which I've pinked, into the back of that dart. That will then get sewn in the way that it normally would, so just end to end obviously, and it catches the silk in at the same time as you sew it. And then once you've actually finished, what happens is the silk gets sort of folded in half as the dart is pressed and creates a balance to the bulk that you've got on the upper side here. So you end up with less of a ridge between your two dart sort of edges on the front of the garment.
I want to show you the inside because it's so pretty. Sort of want to wear it inside out. So these are the balanced darts. These are the shoulder darts. You can see the organza, purple organza and the gold outer fabric, and it's just beautiful. I'm sorry that the light is a bit bad, but I just wanted to capture this. I'm just about to finish this dress and I'm sewing up the lining, and I thought I haven't really shown the inside properly. So this is the top of the inside of the dress. This is all the interfaced organza, which is hand herringboned in. You can see the two layers. It's the organza and then the silk is underneath it, which is this colour. It looks so beautiful with each other. I haven't actually hand herringboned this dart down because it's a balanced dart and it doesn't really need it, but this one I have. So you can just see the start of herringboning the edges of that dart down so that they sit nice and flat. And I've just literally finished hand stitching the hem, which is pinked so it won't fray, and then hand herringboned in. So that's that. And then the other thing I just wanted to show you is the lining. So let me just switch to that for a second. So this is the lining. It's a Venezia in sort of olivey, greeny gold colour. And it's all, so this has all been hand stitched to the zip. It's been hand stitched down the back seam and into the kick pleat, so there's no way that's going to kick out from the bagging out. It's stitched with flat fell stitches, so you can pretty much hardly see them. And then at the neck edge, I just wanted to show you what I've done here. So similarly, the neck edge is bound by folding the outside layer over to the inside like this, and then the lining is folded the other way and the raw edge just pressed up against it. So you never get this popping out because it's hand sewn flat to the edge. You don't get any kind of danger of it creeping up and popping out over the top of the outside, which obviously you do when you bag things out. And it's a lovely process to do by hand, so that's all been hand finished. I've done a lap zip, so this zip I'll show you in a second once it's done. It's gone a bit wonky. And then I've done a hand worked chain stitch here, and I will put a button on the outside, a covered button in the silk, just to hold the top of that down once it's finished, just to keep the lap at the very top of the zip flat, because they can pop up a little bit, particularly if you've got a close fitting garment. That's it. It's closed. The zip sits under there. And I've used a metal zip with exposed teeth, which I know isn't particularly typical, but they last a really long time and they never break, in my experience, because they're obviously just a lot more robust. So that'll look nice. And then yeah, you can just see this little hook. So I'll just literally put a tiny little button here to just keep that closed, which will hopefully help keep everything nice and flat when it's being worn.
And here is the finished article. Give you a twirl. It's so shiny. I'm thrilled with this. It's turned out so beautifully. It just fits perfectly. I have no issues with anything. I didn't rush anything to at the end. Yes. Yeah, it's sort of perfect, and I'm super pleased with it. I mean, it could probably do with one more press. Every time I think I've pressed it, I find another crease, so sorry about that, but I will give it a proper steam, which should help. Just to show you the fit at the back, I've put in a little bead at the top here to just keep that flap closed. But as you can see, it fits really nicely through the back, and fits my sway back very nicely too. The pleat at the bottom, or the slit at the bottom, hangs really nice and straight. Yeah, it's amazing, and it sounds so cool when I walk, because it's all like, it's got that rustle that you get with silk. Yes, so this is silk du peony on the top, kind of amazing. And then it's underlined in silk organza, and then the Venezia lining, which is, I think, a combination of viscose and possibly even silk underneath it. So there we go, final dress.